So in the beginning, there was Hotmail. I don't know if you guys even remember that Hotmail's logo looks like this, but it was kind of an interesting experience going back and looking for it. And Hotmail, not a lot of people know, was started in 1996 by two coworkers, one guy named Sabir Bhatia and one guy named Jack Smith. And they planned to start a company called JavaSoft, which was not, in fact, Hotmail at all. It was a different company entirely. And they were working together at the same company, and they would email each other back and forth about their plans for JavaSoft. But eventually they got kind of paranoid. They were afraid that their boss might read their emails and know what they were up to. So they ended up building a web-based email system so that they could still email each other through the web, but without their employer tracking them. And this web-based email system is actually what became Hotmail. Hotmail was the first web-based email system, and few people know this, but they picked the name because it actually has the letters HTML in it. And with Hotmail, they raised $300,000 from investors to help launch the product. But when they launched, it was actually an unimpressive launch. They didn't get a crazy number of new users. Some people picked it up, but really not very big. And their growth strategy was to buy billboards and radio ads. So very similar to what a traditional company's marketing spend would be. And they told an investor this, but the investor, a guy named Timothy Draper, had a better idea. He remembered studying in business school things like the Tupperware parties of the 50s, in which Tupperware would have women host parties in their own homes, and they would talk about the benefits of Tupperware, and they would have a whole show and tell and sell Tupperware to their friends. And then their friends would then go on and throw their own Tupperware parties. And as a result, Tupperware was one of the first products to grow virally, so to speak. And that dates back all the way to the 50s. So Timothy Draper remembered this, and he thought, why not put P.S. I love you, get your free email at Hotmail at the bottom of each email? He thought, could you imagine the power of every single person sending a link to signing up for Hotmail at the bottom of each email that they sent? And they didn't like this idea at first, but he convinced them to give it a shot. And as soon as they did, within hours, Hotmail's growth took the shape of a classic hockey stick curve. They started averaging around 3,000 new users a day. And within 6 months, Hotmail was up to 1 million users. 5 weeks later, they hit the 2 million user mark. In one case, one of the co-founders, Sabir Bhatia, sent one email to a friend in India, and that one friend made it so that within 3 weeks, Hotmail had 300,000 users there. So talk about the power of viral growth from this one case. And when Hotmail finally sold to Microsoft 1.5 years later, they had 12 million users. Now this is impressive in and of itself. If any service these days had 12 million users, that would be gigantic. But at the time, people don't even realize that there were only 70 million internet users. So Hotmail had a significant share of that. Now we actually have 2.3 billion internet users on the web, and still getting 12 million users is a feat. But I want to emphasize that this story is not an anomaly. If I could pull the graphs for companies like Facebook or Zynga, we'd see the same charts. Groupon, Pinterest, Instagram. The question I ask is, what did all of these companies have in common? And this is something we'll come back to later in this course. First, I want to talk about the opposite end of the spectrum,